In the heavy-hitting world of the hot hatch, people often drool over the VW GTI, and they fawn over the Ford Focus ST. Perhaps giggle like a schoolgirl when you start talking about the Honda Civic Type R. But there's one brand that everybody always seems to forget about. The Renault Megane RS is a heavy hitter with enough stopping power to put down just about any of the prize fighters in this segment. And the new model just got a whole lot better. Now, I am going to be perfectly honest with you, and the last time I got this type of driver feedback from a car, I was piloting a Civic Type R with a dumb cheesy grin all over my face, holding on for dear life because I was that scared. The Megane RS gives you all of that, and yet I'm not absolutely petrified to drive this car. I'm going to put that down to all of the technology that has gone into the new RS. The chassis, the drivetrain, the engine. I'm going to start with the chassis. The entire chassis is actually quite stiff, but yet not that stiff that it's going to rattle loose your fillings when you're driving day to day. The suspension is actually quite a trick piece. It's a little bit difficult to explain, but you basically have a two-in-one system. You have dampers and shock absorbers and springs that all work together to give you a soft, compliant ride, yet sporty when you're going into the corners. Which brings me to the 4Control system. And 4Control is basically just a really, really active rear-wheel steering. You come into a corner too hot, and the normal line of the car would see you hitting the pavement on the opposite side of the road. Not with this. The front end just snaps in. It's like a steam train on rails. It really is something to experience when you're going into a corner. And then we get to the engine. You see, the new RS has a 1.8 litre turbocharged power plant, which is going to give you 205 kilowatts and 390 newton meters of torque. And that is astounding. It is amazing how it uses all of that to propel this car forward. Now, if you drive conservatively in the comfort mode, you can expect to get fuel economy in the range of about 7 litres per 100. But realistically speaking, that's not going to happen. Not in a car like this. I've been driving in the neutral setting, and I've been getting around 9.8 to 11 litres per 100. Put it into sport or race, and those numbers are going to go down even further. But if you're the kind of person who doesn't really care all that much about fuel economy, you'll be free to do this. And that activates manual mode. You get to use the full 6 gears in the transmission with the flappy pedals, and it really does make you feel like an F1 driver. Now, if we have to talk about the exterior styling, around the back, pride and center in the middle of that whole thing is the single exit exhaust. Nice raspy tone when you're in race mode, and then of course a nice soft tone for when you're crawling around the neighborhood at 3 o'clock in the morning. It definitely has a wider track, wider rear arches, and that tells the people behind you that the RS means business. Up front, you have that F1 inspired front bumper with that wing lit in it and the RS motifed fog lights. Anybody that is in front of you and sees this car coming up from the back really does know that they are going to have to move out of your way. On the inside, of course, it is an all-race affair. You're going to get these Alcantara bucket seats with the red stitching and the RS logos, and they're heated as well. One of the things that I do quite like is this up and down infotainment screen, which sort of doubles up as your multi-sense computer, which goes to show you all your different driving modes. Now, when you select those different driving modes, the ambient lighting and the gauge clusters change color according to which drive mode you're in. So if you're in sport and race, it's red. In neutral, nice gold color. And if you're in comfort, it goes blue, eco mode. Now, I know I haven't really mentioned any negative things because, well, there aren't really that many. I think I've been able to catch the gearbox out once or twice where it forgets to change, but a quick flip of the pedals and you're back in business. Other than that, it really is a centered driving car. This car was made by people who know how to drive and they know what other drivers want. And that's why I'm going to say that any conversation that involves a hot hatch of any kind has to involve the RS. And the reason why I say that it should be on every single hot hatch list at all times is because of the price. You see, the Renault Megane RS 2018-2019 model is going to come in at 549,900 Rand, and that is considerably cheaper than most of its contemporaries. You have to consider that there are some of those on that previous list that we mentioned that are no longer brought into the country. So, out of all the hot hatches that are currently available in market today, I'm going to say without a doubt that the Megane RS is my favorite.